G'day ladies and gents, Cubic Meter here. In this video we'll be going over a full build tutorial of the single dimension shulker farm. Now you might notice the design has changed quite a bit since the previous video. This was to fix a few minor issues and make the farm slightly better. In fact, it now produces about 182 shells per hour. This is due to the refinement of the shulker replacement mechanism, which has drastically reduced the downtime of the farm when replacing shulkers. The other change was to eliminate the stacking of minecarts, which caused a lot of issues. In fact, you can literally see the problem in the intro. The new design uses a concept by Command Leo from the storage tech community, where the carts will snap to a curve rail and immediately get killed by the lava cauldron. This also led to some refinement of the shulker distribution. And the final point, it turns out that to remove these stray shulker bullets that you get all the time, we can just add these fire and lava sources around the cell containing our snow golems, and they will simply burn the shulker bullets. So apart from some minor changes, the concept of the farm is still fundamentally the same. Check out my previous video for a detailed walkthrough of the design process. If you want to build the farm and do not have client mods such as Litematic, then stick around for the rest of the video for a full build tutorial. We want to begin by breaking down the farm into its basic components. We can remove all of the large structural elements and focus on the core. Now a few notes on block palettes. Anywhere that you see a smooth stone slab, you can use any other type of slab. Anywhere that you see white concrete, you can use any kind of full solid block. Anywhere that you see a glass block, you can use any transparent full cube. However, it's quite handy having visibility of the inside of the farm while it's running. And of course, stone buttons can be replaced with any kind of wooden button, or blackstone button, or even levers. However, soul sand is used because it is one of the only blocks which behaves like a solid block, but also repels shulkers. In fact, it is extremely important that you get the types of blocks used in the breeding cell spot on. If I were to do something as simple as forgetting a few buttons in specific locations, shulkers can now teleport to these spots and sit there comfortably. This means that these shulkers cannot be removed by the minecarts and can prevent additional duplication attempts from occurring. Now that we've established the type of blocks that we can use, we can look at the material list. As you can see, the farm is relatively inexpensive. Now before you start, make sure you pick the right location. This is because there are some conditions in which our snow golems cannot survive. For example, don't build the farm in the nether. And make sure to avoid building the farm in hot biomes such as badlands, savannas or deserts, because these will also damage the snow golems. You will want to begin with a chest. You will then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hoppers up. From these hoppers, you'll want to start building out platforms of slabs. On this lower hopper, we go in one direction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. Then expand it to 3 across. At the end of the platform, there will be a little hole where you'll put an open fence gate, as well as a lava bucket. And make sure to always remove helper blocks afterwards. In the other direction, from the very topmost hopper, we'll want to go 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and expand that out into a platform. On these 3 sides, we'll want the overhanging soul sand with fire sources on top. And make sure that you put slabs on the underside of the soul sand blocks. On this bottom layer, we will have lots of transparent blocks like so. We want to make sure to button up the sides. Right in the center of this platform, we'll want to put our cobblestone walls. And for this particular platform, we'll have a redstone block right here. And then the rest will all be glass. We want to make sure that we keep this space completely open. And going back this way, we will have more glass. and only buttons at the very ends. This is because we will in fact have teleportation layers here, so there will be slabs here eventually. We'll also make sure that we include our buttons at the end here. Inside of this cell is where our snow golems will go. We'll want to put a slab right here above the lava. Replace this wall with a block for the time being. Go up a layer. And then place down some blocks to place down our snow golems against. We'll also want to put some vines inside of here to try and mitigate some entity collisions. And now we can start piling snow golems into the chamber. And once the snow golems start dying, that's when you know you have the right amount. So just cap off the very top with a slab like so, and make sure you remove any extra blocks you place to help you out. And of course, put back our wall. In this particular spot, we'll have our redstone block, which will control the trapdoor to control the line of sight between our snow golems and our shulker. Then we'll have glass button. Make sure you put a chain on this block, because this block is going to move. We cannot place buttons on it. Then we'll have more soul sand. Glass button. And inside here is where our shulker bullet will go. We want to make sure you put a button on the inside surface, because a shulker can still decide to stick to this surface. Inside of the cell we'll have a trapdoor, and this particular trapdoor inside of the cell must be a top trapdoor like so. In order to collect our minecarts, we'll have a small platform right here. We'll have our activator up here on top of the redstone block. And then a normal rail, which gets curved like so. A cauldron right here with lava in it. And two slabs like so, just to block off the spaces. Above the slabs and the cauldron, we'll have some trapdoors to make sure the shulker doesn't get ejected onto the cauldron or the slabs. Inside of this space right here, on top of all of these walls, we'll have string. And this is very hard to make out, so make sure that you have string in each one of these spaces. On top of the string will then go our observers, surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 glass with buttons on them. Then we'll have slabs and more slabs around this side, and just 2 more slabs on top of these 2 spaces. Right here we will have a piston, put a chain here to prevent teleporting. We'll have more glass in this space, and a redstone block right here to power this rail. Want to make sure we put our buttons on the outside, like so. And then we'll have 3 more glass blocks here, with buttons on these and these. Above the observers, we just have our solid blocks like so. Make sure to put the button on the end right here. Some more glass. Make sure not to forget the buttons. A piston right here. And a piece of string on this piston to prevent shulkers from sticking here. In this spot, just above the piston that controls our trapdoor, we'll have some slabs. And on top of all of these slabs goes some redstone dust. At the very end right here, we have a target block and a redstone torch. And of course, remember to teleport proof everything once you are done. Now that is the breeding cell pretty much done. What we need to do now is go to this particular block right here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 blocks out. On this very last block, we'll have soul sand, a slab, and then powered rails all the way into our breeding cell. On the other side, we can start connecting everything up to our control circuitry. We want a bridge on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. We will then make a little bend, like so, and to add on our cooldown clock. Connecting this up with redstone looks like this. We'll just have a slab going directly into the clock. And right here, a redstone on 1 tick. And 2 dust coming in it. We now want to scaffold up and get a block into this particular position 2 blocks below our cooldown clock. We will go 1, 2, 3, 4 in this direction and 1, 2 in this direction. On top of these blocks will go some powered rail. In this little corner right here, a sticky piston, redstone block, then we'll have an empty space, another sticky piston, another redstone block like so. As you build the farm, you may also want to consider spawn-proofing surfaces like so. Continuing in this direction, we'll have a block with a repeater, carrying another block. A comparator will be pointing into this block. I have a redstone torch, block, redstone dust, and then it'll step up onto here, another redstone torch right here. Then we'll have 2 hoppers pointing into each other, like so. Inside of this particular hopper, we'll want exactly 12 items. And then we'll put composters over the top of the hoppers to prevent them from accidentally collecting random junk that falls on top of them. Continuing in this direction, we'll have a comparator powering a repeater on 4 ticks. We'll simply be powering a block right here. Going back to our cooldown clock, we'll have a piston right on top of this rail, then a block right here. We'll want to have a glass block with a redstone block on top of it, and redstone dust leading all the way back to our breeding cell. Coming off of these rails right here, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 observers. We will then have a gap before having 1, 2, 3, 4 repeaters all on 4 ticks. At the very end, we'll just have a piston pointing down like so. Connected to this dust will be a sticky piston, and then around it will just be some glass blocks which will transmit the signal which will turn on the farm. Right here we'll have a sticky piston which will push this observer in, which will start the farm. From this point right here, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cover all of this with redstone dust. I've used an emerald block here to indicate that this is the on switch, but realistically you could just use any solid block. You just place a lever on the side, a redstone torch, and a lamp to indicate when the farm is on. You can also add a little platform for the player to stand on, as well as a roof to prevent phantoms from spawning. So connecting up the on switch, we'll just put some dust here, and then we'll put a long delay cooldown clock right here. And just underneath, we'll have an additional system which pretty much tells the farm not to send additional shulkers to the middle if the farm is actually off. So from this point right here, we'll then bridge out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then staircase up. And at this point, we will have another hopper clock. The 2 comparators facing outward like so, 2 hoppers pointing into each other, 2 pistons like so, a block of redstone, and then just redstone dust over the top of these, and over here. In this hopper right here, we'll just have 8 items. Now this line right here is where we tell the system to send a new shulker into the breeding cell. From this point right here, we want to bridge out exactly 37 times. Once you've done that, you'll want to place a soul sand block at the very end with a repeater pointing into it. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 redstone dust, soul sand, slab, repeater, soul sand, slab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 dust again. And then a redstone torch right here. Exactly 3 blocks from this particular soul sand. We'll then bridge out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we come back to this chest we placed at the very start. We'll want to go in this direction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 times. We'll also want to place buttons on every single side of the composter. At the very end here, we'll just have a soul sand block. Then we'll have a dispenser. And now we can just track backwards with hoppers like so. Underneath the dispenser, we'll make a little platform like so. From this point, we'll then bridge out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 times. And we should get to the very end right here. We will have our shulker cache. We want to make sure that we button up the sides of our dispenser like so. And then we can have soul sand, slab. We'll put down our powered rails like so. At the very end here, we'll go 2 blocks in either direction. And then build out our platform 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like so. Standing inside of the shulker cache, we want to place down the loop of soul sand. Then we'll have glass. Levers on these. Buttons on these surfaces. And then just cap it off with some glass at the top. And make sure that while you're inside, you get 2 buttons on the ceiling like so. That way, the only place that shulkers can teleport to are these spaces right here. Back on the outside, we want to make sure we button up all of these surfaces. Back at our dispenser, we'll just have a lever on the side of the soul sand, and then an observer pointing into our dispenser. We also want to make sure that we button around the observer. And above the observer, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stories of walls. In practice, you would ideally do all 3 of the walls for each layer at once, like so. At the very top, you'll just place down your trapdoor. Now for the tricky part of staircasing with slabs. You want to start by placing down this slab right here. And then we'll just put some helper blocks like so. And simply scaffold with blocks that we can easily remove later. Once you reach the top, you can just connect the slabs via your staircase. And then of course, once you're done, remove all of the scaffolding material. On this side, we'll have a slab, soul sand, slab, and then a lever. And then we can start placing down our powered rails. And make sure that you have additional power sources to keep all the rails on. At the very top here, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, break that rail, place it with soul sand, place a rail on top, put a lever right here, and from this point right here, just want to make a little bit of a platform, and this will form a little bit of an enclosure for our shulker being kept here, ready to be put into the breeder. So we'll have a slope rail right here. Above this particular rail, we'll have our fence gate, and then we'll simply encase the whole thing in soul sand. And just have a roof of slabs at the top. Just at the back here, a single honey block. And now, it should be far less likely for our shulker to accidentally start shooting at the player or our snow golems while he's inside of that cell. Then from this corner right here, we simply connect this up to that redstone line. So this next bit will be a bit tricky because it will be our shulker distribution lines which aren't actually attached to anything we've built previously. You want to scaffold up and find this exact location right here. Then you'll want to scaffold down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on the 8th block, you'll have a top slab. If we then remove the scaffolding material, we now have a platform from which we can start building out the shulker distribution. So making sure that you're in line with the shulker cache, we'll want to make a little 2 by 4 platform. Going towards the farm, we will want to bridge out exactly 30 slabs. And be sure to repeat exactly the same process on the other side. Once you have these bridges out, you want to go exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks. Then start filling in the platform. Make sure you stop filling the platform 1 block from the very end. At this end of the platform, we'll have soul sand blocks with slabs on top to spawn proof them. Then we'll have levers to power our powered rails. We'll then fill in powered rails all the way to the end, like so. And at the very end, we want to put down our soul sand. And we want to make sure that the activator rail slopes up like so. Then we can cap it off with a slab. And do exactly the same for the other side. Activator rail, slope it up onto the soul sand, cap it off with a slab. Where the rails remain unpowered, you want to go over 1 block, and go up, place down a slab, remove the block, then power it with a lever. And make sure you repeat this for the other side. And same again, block, slab, lever, block, slab, lever. At the very end here, we'll then have 2 levers like so to power our activator rails. This means when the minecart mounts this rail, it will kick the shulker off onto these slabs right here. Now we can set up the killing chamber. We want to bridge with slabs in this direction for 7 blocks. Hanging off the very end here, we'll just have a ring of glass, a soul sand block, and make sure to button off all of these faces. On the underside, we'll just have a hopper, and this will collect the shells from the farm. In order to get the hopper minecart into the cell, we want to place down a helper block, put the cart onto a rail, remove the rail, remove the helper block, and place down a dirt block above. Then just push the dirt block in using a piston and a button like so. Ideally, you'll put a wither rose here, because this will continuously damage the shulkers, meaning that you won't have any buildup of shulkers until they entity cram. Because shulkers are actually immune to things like fire, meaning the only way to damage them is by using the wither effect. And it turns out that trying to kill a shulker with a looting sword using the player does not work out very smoothly at all. So I'd suggest just sticking to the wither rose. Once the rose is in, we can now put in our rails. And on this block right here, we want to have an activator rail. Open it up like so, then remove the rail on top of the block. Now we can encase our killing chamber. And also make sure to button everything up. That way, our shulkers cannot escape. At the very end, we'll then have our soul sand, a slab, and 2 more slabs like so. And now the shulker distribution system is complete. Congratulations for making it this far into the video. I reckon your brain might be a bit tired at the moment, so here's some footage of 250 bees versus a wither. Needless to say, the bees didn't stand a chance. Alright, back to the shulker farm. Now that you've completed the core, there's still a fair bit of building to get done. Starting from the platform that we built for the shulker distribution, you want to build some segments of slabs forking out like so. You will have 3 coming from this end, and another 3 coming from the other end. And there should be exactly 3 blocks of space between them. These segments will mark out the repeated sections of the cart return system. So once I've gone through how to build one of them, you should be able to finish all 6 of them. We will start with these soul sand pillars, which are exactly 30 blocks tall, plus a slab on the very top, and there will be torches placed on it on the way. We will begin by scaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blocks. And then we'll start putting down torches. We'll put down 1 torch every 3 blocks. So we go 1, 2, 3, place down a torch, 1, 2, 3, place down a torch, and just repeat this process all the way to the top. And once you reach the top, you place down a slab in order to make sure that the space is spawn proof. Back down at the bottom, we'll place down 1, 2, 3 soul sand, put some slabs on top, and from this point here, we will have from 1 to 28 composters in a straight line. So put down 1, and keep bridging out until we run out of composters. Once we reach the end, we want to make sure that we place down buttons on all of these composters. Just make sure not to forget the other side. Right underneath the very last composter, you'll place a downwards facing hopper, which points into a dropper pointing in this direction. Underneath our dropper, we'll have a little platform, like so. And then we'll add a simple comparator clock, as well as a target block to power the dropper. We can now get our hoppers and backtrack all the way to the very start. Once all your hoppers are in and facing in the right direction, we can put in the curved rail, like so, as well as the lava cauldron, and just box it in with soul sand. Back at the other end with our dropper, we'll place down some ice, soul sand, a top trapdoor, And then box this in with some glass. From this block right here, you will want to tower up exactly 32 blocks. Ideally, you would finish all 4 sides of the water elevator at once as you go up each layer. Once you've reached the height of the 32 block column, this side will go up an additional 2 blocks, this side 1 block, and then you'll simply close everything in like so. In order to create the bubble column, you'll place a trapdoor here, break in through the top, place down a water bucket right here, and swim all the way to the bottom. Place down some kelp, then bone meal the living life out of it. Now break the kelp. You should have a full bubble column. Like so. Now we need to build the dispenser tower. Starting at the water elevator, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks across, and then scaffold directly upwards exactly 10 blocks. We will start by placing down the walls. Staircase up this block right here, place down the wall, mount the wall, break this block, and now you can start stacking the walls on top of each other. Starting at the first layer of walls, you want to go exactly 17 blocks up on this side and 18 blocks on this side. Now you can remove these dirt blocks, scaffold across, then start scaffolding directly upwards. Starting at the very bottom, we'll place down the observer, dispenser, then place buttons on the underside of both. We'll then put buttons on the side of the observer and torches on the side of the dispenser. As you go up, you'll have 2 walls in this space right here, and then 2 hoppers like so. And as you go up each layer, you'll place down the observer, dispenser, then make sure you're putting torches on the sides of the dispenser and buttons on the sides of the observer. We'll then once again have our 2 walls like so, and our 2 hoppers. And simply repeat this process until you get to the top. And then once you reach the very top, you'll finish off the last observer and dispenser pair. Place down a single hopper and a double chest like so. And simply track backwards with the hopper until you reach bubble elevator. Just make sure that you place down composters on top of all of these hoppers in order to reduce their lag, and make sure that they can't collect random junk that falls on top of them. And of course, once you've completed a slice of the dispenser stack, be sure to remove your scaffolding material afterwards. Simply rinse and repeat this procedure another 5 times, and you'll have all of your cart return systems. Now we want to come back over to our control circuitry and add the system which dispenses the minecarts. From this sticky piston right here, we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will then place down an observer pointing in this direction, and then build out a line of top slabs across all of our cart return systems. Once all the slabs are in, you can go through and add the trapdoors like so. And then we'll connect everything up using soul sand, redstone dust on top. And make sure that you don't place any soul sand in this space right here. Instead, we'll just have some redstone dust, which will receive the signal from the observer. Also be sure to put a slab on the observer just to spawn proof it. Going from the other side, we also connect up all of these trapdoors. And now, if I were to power this observer, all of our dispensers would dispense the minecarts at the same time. That's another important note as well. You'll need to top up all of these chests with minecarts until the chests remain full. Stay with me now, we're on the home stretch. All that's left to do now is to build up all of the teleportation spaces. Now notice how every one of these platforms is more or less identical. Meaning, I'll show you how to build one of them, then you simply repeat to do the rest. Each layer will begin at the dispensers. We'll place down a top slab. We'll place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, going towards the center of the farm. We'll then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Place down a block of redstone. And then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. Block of redstone. Then at the very end of the platform, we'll place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stopping just short of the soul sand pillars. After repeating this another 2 times, we can now fill in the entire platform with slabs. And make sure not to forget about this little nuke sitting out here. Just fill this in as well. That will be the very first platform that we lay out. We want to make sure that we go underneath and teleport proof all of these redstone blocks by placing slabs underneath. We also want to place buttons on these faces. On the top of the platform, we then place down our rail lines like so. Going up to our next layer, I'll repeat it one more time. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across the dispensers. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, redstone block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, redstone block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every time you progress a layer, be sure to teleport proof the redstone blocks. And also place down lanterns on the underside of these redstone blocks. This will light up our teleportation spaces, preventing mobs from spawning inside the farm and interfering with the minecarts. Some layers might start to conflict with the breeding cell. It is important to note that in these cases, blocks placed for the breeding cell take priority. For example, in this particular case we have a lava cauldron as well as 2 bottom slabs either side of it. This is because we want to avoid the shulker from being booed off the minecart on top of these spaces right here. Instead, we want to force the shulker to get booed off into this space. Therefore, we simply ignore the slabs that are placed here normally and extend the platform this way. This also explains why, in the very first part of the video, there were no buttons placed here. Because as you can see, this is exactly where we place the slabs for this particular platform. This is also why we use soul sand in this particular location of the breeding cell. Because this means that our shulkers will only teleport to this face, because if they teleported to this face, the shulker could open its shell and then block the minecart. After repeating this and building up all of the layers, that should be the shulker farm finally complete. Except there are a few more minor details to add. For example, these additional lanterns at the very top layer to keep it lit up, as well as our minecarts for the shulker distribution. And finally, we need to make sure that this chest that we placed at the very start is full of minecarts in order to collect shulkers from our shulker buffer. Now you need to go ahead and grab some shulkers to put into the farm. I already went through how to do this in detail in a previous video, so check that out for all the deets. All you really need to know that you need to get the shulker into a minecart somewhere near the farm and drop it onto one of these rails. Like so. So this shulker will eventually make its way into that chamber, ready to be put into the farm when we turn it on. So all we need to do now is switch on the farm and see what happens. There we go. Our shulker buffer is now filled up, and the farm is running stable. So there you have it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you should have a fully functional single dimension shulker farm, which produces about 180 shells per hour. While only 40 minutes for you lads, this tutorial has been several days of building the farm myself in survival just to understand the perspective of those building it, as well as building it again for you on camera. So if this video has fulfilled your technical needs, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing, because I'll be here pumping out more technical content over the coming weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.